Hello and welcome. So June 12th was Democracy Day in Nigeria, and the government marked it in some sort of unique way. This time, the president addressed the country at a joint session of the National Assembly. It's actually the first time this will be happening, and I should say it's sort of refreshing. Now, the major highlight of President Bola Tinubu's speech would be his position on the so much talked about one-party state agenda. The president refuted the idea in the strongest term, affirming his commitment to multi-party democracy. Here's what the president said.
I plead for your indulgence so that I may put a terrible rumor to bed. To those who ring the alarm that the APC is intent on a one-party state, I offer you a most personal promise. While your alarm may be as a result of their panic, it rings an error. At no time in the past, nor any instance at the present, and at no future junction, shall I view the notion of one-party state as good for Nigeria. I've never attempted to alter any political party registration with INEC. Equally, my dear friends and colleagues, we cannot blame anybody seeking to bail out of a sinking ship, even without a life jacket. Look at my political history. I will be the last person to advocate such a scheme. A one-party state is not in the oven, nor shall it ever be. That said, we would be guilty of political malpractice if we close our door on those from other parties who now seek to join the APC. I sincerely welcome our party's newest members from Delta and Akwa Ibom State, led by Governor Sheriff Buhari and Pastor Moeno and other national members of this respected National Assembly. You are all welcome to the progressive fold. Nobody should close the door. Political parties fearful of members leaving may be better served by examining their internal processes and affairs rather than fearfully conjuring up demons that do not exist. For me, I would not say try your best to put your house in order. I will not help you to do so either. It is indeed a pleasure to witness you in such a disarray.
Well, the president there. And another highlight now of the president's speech was his conferment of national honors on some prominent Nigerians who fought for the actualization of June 12th and the return of democracy in 1999. The honorary list reeled out now by the president is also generating some talking points, as some say there are clear omissions from the list. So that is still generating a lot of debate. But joining me now to discuss all of this, I have political affairs analyst Muyiwa Akintunde, who joins us from Lagos, and joining us from Abuja is another political affairs analyst, Abubakar Kari. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Let me start with you, Dr. Kari, you listen to the president's speech, especially the aspect that has to do with one-party state. And, the president speaking in very strong terms there and making it very clear that he had never supported, will never support the idea of a one-party state, but that he would not, of course, prevent those who choose to leave their party and defect to his party, that his party will not shut its doors now against such individuals. So what's your take on that?
Well, with due respect to Mr. President, I think his assertion is debatable and contestable. Many are not going to accept it, particularly the opposition, who have been losing members in droves. And there are accusations, and with some kind of credible proof, that these defections enjoy the support, at least, if not of the presidency, but of the APC. And then the president also, in his speech, controversially said, even though he does not believe in one-party state, he cannot be held complicit in the attempt to make Nigeria a one-party state, but at the same time, he welcomed mass defections into the APC.
But shouldn't he welcome mass defection? Should he just turn them back?
As a politician, he should, but then the issue is that some of those defections are said to be induced, some are coerced, and some are expressly encouraged by the APC and probably by the presidency. So that is what makes it quite controversial. So for me, the president appears to have spoken from both sides of his mouth. On the one hand, denying any involvement in the defections, but at the same time, unable to completely exculpate himself and his party for inducing these defections. And we all know that the way things are going, the political parties, the opposition parties have been systematically depopulated, asphyxiated, emasculated. And this is not good for democracy. Even if we don't end up with a one-party state, we are going to end up with a one super colossus of a party, while the others exist only in name. And I don't think that would do credit to President Bola Tinubu.
Okay, Mr. Akintunde, let me get your take on this, because the question would be, look, we can't deny the fact that there are problems in some of these other political parties. The PDP is a very clear example. Would it be up to the APC to now say, look, don't come to our political party because we're not going to accept, because, we want to maintain a multi-party democracy? You would expect that in politics, you would expect that your opponents would even want your house to be put, would want your house to, for want of a better word now, to be disorganized and be in disarray, so that you do not have, what do I say now, the political means now to fight against them.
Okay, the first thing I would say here is that I think that the opposition parties should stop the blame game. They're blaming everybody except themselves for what is happening. There's no political party anywhere in the world that will say that we have had enough members and we want to shut the door. No one is coming in again. The thing is to always get more members. If you can get everyone in your country, in your constituency, to subscribe to political parties, so well and good. So it is for the opposition to know that they have to put their house together, and they have to ensure that they begin to devise means of being opposition in the region of the world. I mean, it's very unfortunate that we're having a country where it is becoming like anything that the party in power wants, they will get. We still have members in National Assembly, for instance, who are not of the APC, even if they are becoming fewer every day with defection. But we still have members of other political parties. We have PDP, we have Labour Party, we have NMPP, all of them in the National Assembly. And the same thing applies in at the state level and even at some local government level, you see our opposition party members, what are they doing to ensure that, in the real sense, they put the party in power, the governing party, on their toes? They seem to have lost the battle even before we get to 2027. And so I am not blaming the ruling party for winning over members of the opposition party. I would rather put that on the door of the opposition party to say, look, if you look at the Bola Tinubu example, we're talking about the Bola Tinubu now, the president. In 1999, when he emerged as the governor of Lagos State under Alliance for Democracy, AD, at that time we had a president who is from the same region, with the rest of the AD governors, that the parties that AD produced at that time from the southwest. That's General Obasanjo, Olusegun Obasanjo became president, Olusegun Obasanjo. And there were a lot of derisive comments about the fact that he couldn't even win even his own polling booth in Abeokuta, where he comes from. He couldn't win the local government, he couldn't win the state, couldn't even win the region. It was Olufalaye that won the region, although he didn't win the election overall. And so Obasanjo rightly decided to say, let me get my region, at least let me get my people behind this political party.
Yes, that's
and he did everything possible. And the only person that resisted him of all the governors in AD was Bola Tinubu. Bola Tinubu warned his colleagues that the alliance that you are having with Olusegun Obasanjo and PDP, you all regret it, and they all did regretted it. Bola Tinubu was the only man standing in the southwest. And from there, he could have easily gone into the winning party, the so-called winning party, the PDP. But he still stood his ground, even when, after he left office in 2007, he never had any political office. But he endured until 2015, when he was able to bring in his party, the APC, and they formed national government, and then now he's president. So why can't those in opposition take a cue from that and be resilient, rather than blaming the ruling party, which has the right to woo as many members as possible from anywhere? That's my position on this.
Let me come to you, Mr. Kyari. Do you think it's time, for instance, our law was amended to prevent defection in whatever guise at all? Because as we speak today, it applies only to National Assembly members, it applies only to the legislature, it doesn't apply to the executive. Even in the legislature, there are ways around it, because, I mean, you can see the spate of defections we have seen in the National Assembly. Don't you think it's about time we made that law? But the other question would be, who would make the law? Because you would also need these politicians to make the law.
That is where the problem is. There are two questions here. Whether I support a law, at least to discourage defections. I do. I seriously do. Because even the existing ones are only observed in the breach. But I think the problem is that the architects of the 1999 Constitution got it wrong. They should have made it very, very clear that any elected officer who defects to a party automatically forfeits his or her seat. There should have been a categorical statement, a categorical provision in the Constitution. And not only the legislature, but also the executive. That would have served as a huge disincentive for anybody wanting to eat his cake and have it, because that is what it amounts to. So on the issue of who will make the law, that is also controversial, but I think if we all continue to agitate, Nigerians insist, the major stakeholders, including the electorate, the civil society, will continue to hammer and insist that these changes should be made. They may be made. Changes in democracy are usually incremental. After all, democracy is about the people. If the people insist and persist and resist relentlessly, changes can be made. It's not going to be easy, But I think there appears to be a consensus among Nigerians that this defection of a thing has become a huge problem and it's not good for democracy. So we should continue to hammer against it. We should continue to oppose it. We should continue to insist, to resist and oppose it. At the end of the day, it will be done.
Well, I really wait for that day. But don't you think what could also be fueling this could be as a result of the fact that you look at our political parties across board, they are not based on ideology at all. You just cannot tell the difference between the APC and the PDP and other political parties as well. Same way you cannot even tell the difference among their members. I mean, they're all just the same. You know, their ideologies are the same. The members are no different. Couldn't that also be a problem?
It goes beyond ideology. I totally agree with you. The reality is that some of us do not believe that we have political parties in the real sense of the word. What we have are political platforms. What we have are SPVs, special purpose vehicles that politicians simply use to acquire or consolidate power. A political party is supposed to be organized. Our Nigerian political parties are not organized. Many of them belong to the realm of the so-called briefcase parties. They lack constitution. They lack adherence to their own constitution. They are the biggest flouters of their own rules. So there is total absence of internal party democracy. So for us to make progress, we really have to revisit the way and manner our political parties are formed in the first place. Now the political parties are being run and controlled by big men and women, the so-called godfathers, and in the government houses and the state house, House of Villa, they are the people who decide who becomes what, who leads the political parties. The parties' leadership are not elected. They emerge through dubiously organized consensus. They are imposed and so on and so forth. So everything is wrong with the very existence and structures of our own political parties. So, and since our political parties are not democratic, they cannot give democracy. So, so the real crisis is the crisis of party formation. We really have to look at it. We really have to insist that we have political parties in the real sense of the word. APC and PDP and Labour, they are not like NEPU. They are not like Action Group. They are not even like MPN. They are characterized by indiscipline, selfishness, totalitarianism. They have been taken over by big men and women. So we really don't have political parties.
And because you talked about big men and women, there's something I want to point out now. And I'm happy you talked about this issue of big men and women. Because as we speak today, you have a situation where you do not have financial contributing members of the party. So you hear a party say it has, a party says, for instance, it has 40 million members, but you know, the majority of those 40 million members, probably 39 million, would not be financially contributing members. So it's still the big men who control and they decide who gets the ticket and who gets what. Don't you think that's where the problem is?
It partly is. If you read history of political parties in Nigeria, you discover that political parties in the first and to a very large extent, Second Republic, were financed through the contributions of their members. Everything they did was from the proceeds from the collection of membership dues and other levies. But now what we have is a situation where the very process of forming political parties encourage the parties to be hijacked from the word go by these so-called big men and women. And who pays the piper dictates the tune. As long as our political parties are financed by the so-called godfathers, by the government houses, and by the Aso Villa, we are going to continue to have SPVs as political parties. So the whole idea of party finances need to be revisited, need to be changed, need to be overhauled and amended.
And I firmly agree with you. Even this whole idea of saying that the governor of a state is the leader of the political party in that state, it just doesn't sit well at all.
It is an anomaly. Examples are made in the Second Republic that the MPN was holding caucus meeting every Monday at the MPN's secretariat in Lagos. And at that meeting, Adisa Akinloye was in charge. Shagari was only in attendance. It was Adisa Akinloye, Uba Ahmed, and the rest of them in the party that were calling all the shots. The decisions were not taken from the other barracks. Yes, from Ribadu Road, and so on and so forth. So we want to go back to those days where the parties reign supreme, where the parties and the parties' manifestos and constitutions and policies and programs are the guiding principles, are the compass which show the way the parties are, not now. Now, as you mentioned earlier on, there is no any difference in terms of substance between the PDP and the APC and the Labour, NNPC, NNPP, and so on and so forth. That is why somebody may wake up in the morning in APC, by afternoon he's in PDP, in the evening he's in NNPP, and so on and so forth. Because the parties operate the same way. There are people by elements who think and operate and act and react in the same way.
All right, let's just take a quick break. We'll be right back because I want to bring Mr. Akintunde on. So we'll take a quick break. There's one more issue we'll be talking about, and that's the award now, the national award bestowed on some Nigerians now by the president. So we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us, don't go away.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the president of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI 360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI 360, dissecting the issues.